Hello friends, welcome to Brussels. Grey and rainy Brussels. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a few things that I wish I had known before moving here. Like how to pick the right outerwear for this crap weather. So if you're planning to move here, then please learn from my mistakes by following the next 4 tips. Enjoy! The first point in today's video has to do with the weather and coming prepared with the right kind of outerwear to brace, well, this. And I actually debated whether or not to film the video today because I try my best to showcase Brussels in a positive light. And this is not the most inviting view. I mean, it's not the best trailer for the country to come and live here. However, it is a huge reality for those who live here. Most of the year, especially this time, fall and winter, it's gray and cold and rainy. C'est la vie. However, you can prepare well with proper clothing. So let's talk about it. So whether you're planning a visit to the Belgian capital during these months, maybe for the Christmas markets, or if you're brave enough to consider living here, there are a few criteria I like to look out for when buying a coat. The first is that it never gets super cold here to snow for long periods of time. However, it's very humid and we have rain on and off at some point, I would say almost every day, especially in these months. Next is it can be quite windy here. And when you combine that with the rain, you get this like monster concoction of horizontal rain. It just feels so disrespectful from the city because no matter where you are when you're walking, an umbrella won't do because it's going to get blown out and it just like finds its way to your face. So it's a good practice in Zen, finding patience, finding your calm, because it just spits in your face all day. So the second factor you need to look for in any kind of outerwear, aside from being waterproof, is something with a hood. Actually, I'm just waiting for a brand to come out with like a full body condom because that would be ideal for this kind of weather. Something that protects you from the wind and the rain and that's ideally like padded and warm. So I'm putting it out there into the universe. If someone wants to make that, Belgium would be your market. The coat that I'm sporting today is from a brand called A Life in Kicking. It's not sponsored, but it served me very well the past 2 winters here. I'm going to link it in the description box below. And another brand, which is actually local to Belgium, is called Rains, which is just right on the money. And their stuff is a little bit more stylish. As I said, mine from A Life in Kicking has served me very well, but it's more practical, it's more utilitarian, which is just fine by me. But if you are more of a fashionista, more stylish, then I would check out this brand. I'll link them down below. Bonjour! Je vais prendre, c'est ça les framboises? Et c'est ça la cassis? Merci.
Alors, cassis, framboise, passion, café.
Cassis?
Oui.
Les cassis et les framboises.
D'accord.
Merci. Et un pistache. Merci.
Bonne journée.
Merci à vous aussi. Moving to Belgium has fully enabled my sweet tooth. I thought I was addicted to chocolate before coming here, and I definitely still am, though I want to say it's become more refined. You know, there's so many good types of chocolate and sweets around here to sample. It's been like a masterclass the last 4 years. I'm still not picky, I eat everything. Just the quality here is really high. And it's become tradition in these videos that I take you to some of the yummy places around the city to show you just what there is out there. And today we've come to Wittemer, which is an upscale chocolatier located in the Outre neighborhood, which is very fancy schmancy. And I picked up 3 macarons, cassis, pistachio, and raspberry. And I'm gonna sample one of these, purely for my pleasure, while we go over point number 2. Point number 2 has to do with French, and whether or not you decide to learn any French before or while you're here. Bon appétit. Like many Americans, I chose to study Spanish in high school. And then later on in college, I majored in Spanish and Portuguese. And both of those came in great handy when I decided to move to Brussels and marry a Czech. I really think that sometimes in life you have to have a good sense of humor, because I dedicated my whole undergraduate to studying those 2 languages and then wound up in a place married to a man where I don't use either of those. But if you are wiser than I and want to learn a little bit of French before you come here, whether it's for a visit or for a move, I have just the thing for you. Right now, the tripod is very precariously placed against a window, really just because I thought this blue door was super pretty and I wanted it as part of the backdrop for the next talking point. As I said, I'm trying to show the city in a positive light. back to French. As I said, this video is meant to help you out, so I want you to learn from my mistakes. I came here having studied very little French, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to order a beer, order fry, have a conversation, or at least, be able to order some macarons. Today's portion of the video is brought to you by Lingoda, which is an online language learning platform designed to help you study French, German, English, or Spanish. And back in 2020, I actually worked with Lingoda as an English language teacher for about 6 months. And I have really fond memories of my time teaching there because the students were really sweet and they were all from different parts of the world. So some days I would log on and have students from Brazil or Argentina or Poland or Hong Kong, and everyone shared a little piece of their own culture. So it was a really dynamic and stimulating experience. Not too dissimilar to life here in Brussels. If you're looking to learn from my mistakes and actually start studying a little bit of French before you come here, then you can use the link in the description box below with the code Ali25 to get $25 or 20 euros off your first course with Lingoda. Bonne chance, mes amis! The next point in today's video has to do with the living arrangement you have here in Brussels. Specifically, renting an apartment. Granted, I have very little experience even renting in the US because I rented an apartment just during my college years, and then right after graduation, I moved abroad and have lived abroad since. So take this with a grain of salt. It may be different where you are, but this has been my experience in Brussels, which is that there are two main types of rental contracts here. The first is a short-term lease, which ranges from 6 months to 3 years. And this is very common for trainees, those looking to come to Brussels for a short term. If you're coming sponsored by a company, this may apply to you. There's a second kind of rental agreement here that is much more common, which is called the 369. And as the name suggests, the rental duration is either 3 years, 6 years, or 9 years. Which as an American was quite strange, signing a lease for a 3-year commitment was a big deal. You gotta make sure you find the right one, that you have the chemistry there, and that you're ready to commit to it for at least 3 years. Because there are some serious penalties if you decide to leave before the 3 years is reached. I'm going to spare all the specifics because that's something that you can read in the resources that I linked to down below. As I said, this type of rental agreement, the 369, is the most common here in Brussels. And I think from my experience, as well as that of my friends, finding an apartment here in Brussels is like a sport in and of itself. However, I'm sure that you'll be able to find some kind of rental agreement that suits your needs for the time that you're here. Just check the links in the description box below. Our fourth and final point in today's video brings us back to food. Before we get into that, I think it's time for a little macaron break. I just use these videos as an excuse to eat. Dude, it started to rain again. This is really a quintessentially Brussels video. I mean, I'm giving you the full picture here. Macarons and rain. All right, let's find some shelter. All right, because I was in the area, I decided to stop into Animo Studios here at the Brugman location, which, shameless plug, I happen to teach at. I teach the hot yoga about 6 or 7 times a week, so if you're in Brussels, then stop by. We have a really good time. Yeah, it's a great vibe. As I said, the last point in today's video has to do with food. And I think generally in the US, we have a stigma against frozen food. It's seen as less nutritionally dense, kind of ready-made food that you grab in a pinch, or treats like ice cream, pizza, those kinds of things. However, here and in France, they have a brand called Picard, which is just this frozen food haven filled with very high quality ingredients. And because dining out is quite a treat here, it can be quite expensive. Things like this, having some ready-made meals from Picard that are really high quality, have saved me. And especially when the weather is like this, in seasons like this, when it's just cold and dark and raining outside, and you want to bring as much comfort into your life as you can. You want to eat something that's warm, cozy, that feels like a hug from the inside. Picard is a savior. I've been really pleasantly surprised with the quality of most of their stuff, especially their seafood, which, again, as an American, is just such a mind shift for me because frozen seafood in the US would just be something to definitely, I don't know, not something that I would instinctually reach for. But here they have these Nutri-scores where you can see the quality of the ingredients involved. The EU has very strict regulations for its meat and its produce, and I've only had, as I said, pleasant experiences trying their stuff. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining and for indulging me as I walked around this city that I now call home. I hope that you found these points helpful. If you are planning a move here, all the information that I mentioned will be reiterated in the description box below, so make sure you check that out. And I'll see you all back here super soon. All right, take care.